Speak softly, but carry a big stick. This sentence is not a threat, it's a strategy, a worldview, and the man who said it was the President of the United States at the beginning of the 20th century, Theodore Roosevelt. This phrase came to define America's foreign policy, but the real question is, when did America decide to become the world's police? And more importantly, who gave it that authority? At the beginning of the 19th century, the world was still ruled by Europe, empires, colonies, kings, navies, and America, it was young, weak, but ambitious. The wars in Europe, especially the Napoleonic Wars, were shaking the New World as well. Europe still saw the American continent as its playground. That's why, on December 2nd, 1823, US President James Monroe stood before Congress and gave a speech. That speech would go down in history as the Monroe Doctrine. It had two core messages. First, America would not interfere in European affairs. Second, Europe would not interfere in the Americas. It was a polite way of drawing a line, and between the lines, it said this: the Western Hemisphere now belongs to us. The Monroe Doctrine began as a defensive idea. But 100 years passed. America grew, it got richer, it industrialized, and it was no longer a small nation. It fought a civil war, defeated Spain, entered the Caribbean, expanded into Latin America. And in 1901, a new figure appeared, Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt believed the Monroe Doctrine was no longer enough. To him, it was just a sentence, and sentences without cannons behind them mean nothing. In 1901, Roosevelt said, "Some wars are inevitable, and some are fought in the name of humanity." With that sentence, a new idea was born: the international police, meaning America would no longer just protect itself. It would protect order, stability, civilization. For whom? Of course, for the world. At least, that's what it said. Roosevelt's strategy was simple: speak softly, but carry a big stick. This wasn't diplomacy, it was intimidation. It got a name: big stick diplomacy, meaning show your navy, display your cannons, and make your opponent surrender before a war even begins. Europe was already used to this, but America claimed it was doing it for civilization, and that difference changed everything. The Panama Canal was more than a dream. It was a project that would reshape global trade. The French tried, they failed. America took over. But there was a problem. The land where the canal would pass belonged to Colombia, and Colombia refused to sell. At that point, America said, "We are not bullies, we bring freedom." And then a rebellion broke out. American ships arrived, troops landed, and a new country was born, Panama, overnight. This marked the beginning of a new era, Pax Americana, the American peace. But this peace was enforced by warships, and this model was repeated again and again throughout the 20th century. Latin America, the Middle East, Asia. And every time the same story was told: we are not intervening, we are maintaining order. The Monroe Doctrine started as a defensive reflex. Roosevelt turned it into a weapon, and America declared itself the referee of the world. But no one asked, who gave it the right to be the referee? And maybe more importantly, if one country becomes the world's police, who polices the police?